Welcome to GSD Brainers, the place where curiosity meets discovery. Zombies, the living dead brain-eating monsters, have long been a staple of horror and fantasy. They've clawed their way out of graves in countless films, TV shows, comic books and video games, becoming an inescapable part of our pop culture. From the slow, shuffling undead of George Romero's Night of the Living Dead to the sprinting, ravenous hordes in World War Z, these terrifying creatures have given us sleepless nights and adrenaline-fueled entertainment. But have you ever stopped to think about the origins of these creatures of nightmare? Zombies have their roots in Haitian folklore, where they were once considered to be reanimated corpses brought back from the dead by a sorcerer. The idea of the undead has since evolved, morphed, and been reimagined by creative minds, giving us the modern interpretation of zombies we know today. Yet the more we delve into the world of the undead, the more we find ourselves asking one critical question. Could this be real? Could an infectious disease actually turn humanity into a race of vicious monsters as seen in countless movies and series? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The possibility that our fascination with zombies might not just be a product of our love for horror and the macabre, but a glimpse into a potential future that could await us. A future where the line between fiction and reality becomes blurred, where the undead could become a terrifying reality. Don't worry, we're not trying to scare you much, but it's worth exploring this question, delving into the realms of science and fiction to find the answers. So is a zombie apocalypse a far-fetched dream of horror enthusiasts or a potential reality? Let's dive deeper. Believe it or not, science doesn't completely dismiss the possibility of a zombie-like scenario. Yes, you heard it right. Now, before you start barricading your doors, let's delve into the scientific aspects that could, in theory, give rise to a zombie apocalypse. To start with, let's consider parasites. There are parasites in nature that can take over their hosts and control their behavior. Consider the example of the parasitic fungus Ophiocordyceps, which infects ants, seizing control of their bodies and compelling them to act in ways that benefit the fungus. By manipulating the ants' bodies through chemical signals to their brains, the fungus coerces the ants to relocate to the optimal environment with sufficient light and moisture for the parasite to thrive. Subsequently, the fungus compels the ant to bite and adhere to the ideal location, allowing the fungus to grow from within the ant's brain, leading to the ant's demise. The fungus then produces its own spores, which can infect more ants, perpetuating this ant zombie cycle. Imagine a similar horrifying scenario, but on a human scale. A chilling thought, isn't it? Next, let's talk about neurogenesis, the process of birth of neurons wherein the brain forms new nerve cells. Now, this is a natural process that happens throughout our lifetime, but here's the catch. What if, through some scientific manipulation or a mutation, this process could be induced in dead cells? That could potentially reanimate a lifeless body, creating a creature that's alive but not quite human. Even though these scientific possibilities exist, they are very unlikely. Many infectious diseases that we have never come in contact with happen all the time, and even diseases we have come in contact with can evolve in different ways. Furthermore, some diseases increase in frequency from unexpected sources for which we have no protection. Most of the time, the origin of such a disease would be from different animals. Another possible source would be human labs, where people may seek to use diseases to harm others by evolving them in a lab. The problem lies in containing them. All it takes is one small accident to affect the entire globe. In 1979, anthrax spores leaked out of a Soviet lab, resulting in the deaths of more than 60 Soviets in this event. Fortunately, the event did not escalate into a global problem. However, human error is inevitable. Will we be that lucky next time? The origin of COVID-19, for example, is a topic of ongoing debate and investigation. It could have originated from a natural spillover from animals to humans or from a lab leak in Wuhan, China. This scenario is much more realistic than we would like to think. Every time we encounter a new disease, we have no protection against it. Unknown viruses for which we have no immunity or any effective vaccine have already caused havoc in the past. Most of the dramatic diseases came from other species, such as Ebola, SARS, HIV, anthrax, rabies, and many more. Usually infection happens through direct contact with the diseased animal. Now consider that COVID-19 has caused us a lot of troubles and is known to have evolved and mutated over time. So is it far-fetched to consider the possibility of a nightmare scenario where a disease could create a zombie apocalyptic event? The disturbing answer is, it is possible. Rabies is a disease that affects the nervous system and redirects the function of the cells to start replicating itself, eventually making its way to every one of the nerves, including the brain. As of today, there is no cure for rabies, only a vaccine to prevent rabies infection. However, if administered shortly after exposure to the virus, it might prevent the symptoms and save your life. Once clinical symptoms appear, however, rabies is virtually 100% fatal. The muscles for breathing are destroyed, leading to suffocation. All you can do then is wait until the end. The scary part is what happens to the victims before they die. When rabies reaches the brain, victims will suffer anxiety, hallucinations, and foaming from the mouth. That's the point when the victim loses control and becomes dangerous. Rabies destroys the very cells that are responsible for inhibiting aggressive behavior, so the victim can do anything. So why isn't anyone afraid of this horrifying disease, and why does no one talk about it? Rabies might not sound that dangerous since you have to come in contact with the diseased animal to get infected, usually through a bite, which is easy to avoid. However, if it were to evolve in such a way that it spreads easily by air like other viral diseases, we would face a different scale of disaster, one that makes scientific nightmares. It has the potential to wipe us all out. So, if such a case were to happen, would we have any chance of surviving this zombie event? The COVID-19 pandemic has caused significant disruption and upheaval worldwide. However, when examining the statistics, the estimated death rate for COVID-19 has been around 0.66%, reaching 7.8% for the highest risk groups, such as individuals over 80 years old. So why isn't a disease like rabies with a much higher death rate considered a greater danger to humans? The ease with which COVID-19 can spread allows it to infect a larger number of people, and another significant factor is the incubation period, the time between infection and the onset of symptoms, which is approximately 6 days. During this period, victims show no signs or symptoms and can continue to interact with others, potentially infecting them as well. Consequently, the disease spread rapidly, and despite its low death rate, millions of people lost their lives. In our evolved rabies scenario, this would be a different story. The initial individuals infected are unaware of their condition as the disease is transmitted through the air. And unlike COVID-19, rabies has an incubation period of approximately 3 to 12 weeks and is challenging to detect without prior knowledge of infection. Imagine the time these individuals would have to infect nearly the entire globe, coupled with a high death rate and the ensuing chaos and spread of the disease. Now, add to this scenario the fact that every mammal can be infected by rabies, making it even more severe. Even insects like mosquitoes would be capable of transmitting the disease in a single bite. This could create a global army of the undead, with both humans and animals affected. This scenario would represent the deadliest virus the Earth has ever faced, with uncontrolled assaults and attacks due to the effects on the brain, resulting in a real-life zombie event. One solution we might try is to use our vaccinations against rabies. However, producing them in large quantities won't be an easy task. Since there aren't many cases of rabies, we don't have a large supply of vaccinations, and creating new ones takes months. Even if we manage to produce them in time, this mutated or evolved rabies strain might not respond to the vaccinations. Likely the vaccinations won't be effective, and we won't know it until it's too late. Eventually, mankind will have a chance of survival thanks to natural immunity, which is a natural phenomenon where certain individuals or groups are naturally immune to certain diseases. We all have varying resistance to different infections, which is determined by our genes. About 10% of Northern Europeans are naturally resistant to HIV. The virus is unable to enter their cells, which differs from the rest of the population. Additionally, people who are naturally immune to COVID-19 are still the subject of scientific inquiry and study. The last hope for human survival lies with this group. The rest of us are doomed. So, where does that leave us? Is a zombie apocalypse likely to happen? We've delved into the depths of the fictional world of zombies, and we've considered the scientific possibilities. It's time to weigh up the facts and fiction. While our exploration has revealed that there are indeed elements of the zombie concept grounded in the world of science, it's crucial to keep a clear perspective. Yes, there are parasites that can manipulate their host's behavior and diseases that can induce zombie-like symptoms. But in reality, the transformation of an entire human population into a horde of mindless, flesh-eating monsters is a stretch, to say the least. And for that, we should probably be grateful. You see, the thrill of horror lies in the what if, not in the what is. And isn't that the beauty of fiction? It allows us to explore the unimaginable from the safety of our living rooms. That's all for today, folks. For more brain-boosting content, hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching.